Okay, hello, and this is your screencast on how to use layer masks in Photoshop, specifically for my Me, Myself, and I project. So first thing I want to say is I'm doing this on my home computer, so it might look a little bit different than our school computers, but everything's basically the same, and the directions are the same, the keyboard shortcuts are the same, and everything is pretty much the same. It just looks a little bit different. First thing you're going to want to do is find your photos in Bridge and open them up. I have all of my photos right here. So I'm going to highlight them all, and you will see them up here, all of the ones that you have highlighted. I didn't highlight this one on purpose because that was just a picture of my scene, and I don't think I need it to do what I need to do here. So next thing you're going to do is go to Tools and go to Photoshop and go to Load Files into Photoshop Layers. You will see that that will open all your pictures in one document, and they are all separate layers over here. The next thing you need to do for this project is you need to give each layer a layer mask. And to do that, I haven't found an easy way to give everything a layer mask all at one time, but click on the first layer, and then down here, this square with a circle inside of it, that is your layer mask. So if you click on that, you'll see it adds a white rectangle next to your picture, and that is actually your layer mask. So then you're going to click on your next layer down and do it again all the way through until you're done with all of your images. Okay, a few things that will be helpful for you. The first thing is to know that these little icons right here are actually eyeballs, and when you turn them on, or when you turn them off, actually, when you click on them and they disappear, that means you're turning off this layer, so you're not actually seeing it. So you'll do this a lot in this project, turn layers on and off. So you're seeing all of my layers here. I'll turn them all off. And if I turn the last one off, all you see is the checkers. The checkers mean there's nothing there at all. So here's my very last image. And actually, I like the way that Photoshop lined my images up, so I'm going to keep them that way. And the first thing I'm going to do is turn on my top layer. Think of your layers like this. They are ordered. Whatever is on top is actually affecting everything below it. So if you turn on this top layer, well, actually, if I turn them all on, you can now see that you're not seeing anything else because all I'm seeing is that top layer. Okay, so this is how I'm going to start. You have to kind of decide for yourself and how your pictures are organized, how you would like to start. But I think it's easiest to start on your top layer, turn everything else off so all you're seeing is that top layer. Now, the layer mask, here's what it does. In Photoshop, if you are on this layer, it's highlighted. See how it's kind of blue? And you can see that right now I'm selected on the picture. If I want to select the layer mask, I have to click on that white rectangle. Now you'll see that there's white lines around that. That means I'm selected on the layer mask. That's really important because the magic happens in the layer masks. If you do this and you're selected on the picture, you're actually going to like brush on a black or a white stroke on top of your photograph, and you don't want to do that. So you have to make sure you're on the layer mask for this. So here's how it works. The layer mask is like an eraser, except it's really nice because you can erase things away, and if you mess up, you can bring them right back. So to work on the layer mask, you might think we're going to use the eraser tool, but we're not. We're actually going to use the brush tool, which is right here. And if you click and hold on it, you want to make sure you're on your actual brush, not any of the other tools underneath the brush. So you want your brush tool, your regular plain old brush tool. You'll also notice right here that there is a black and a white. That's your default colors, your foreground and background colors. There's also a little mini squares up here, I guess, if you click on them, it makes this a black and a white, okay? And that's what you want for this. So, and if you click on this little arrow, switches them back and forth, okay? Anytime you're seeing this pop up, anytime you hold your mouse on something, it will actually show you the keyboard shortcut for it. And especially in a project like this where you're doing the same thing over and over again, that becomes really helpful. So to toggle back and forth between the foreground and the background color, it's the X on your keyboard. To select the brush, it's the B on your keyboard. So there's some keyboard shortcuts for you. When you click on the brush, up here are your brush options. So you want to make sure that you're just on like your basic brushes. And you will want to work between these soft fuzzy brushes and the hard edged brushes. I find the soft fuzzy brushes work better because it blends better. Also, you're going to want to increase and decrease the size of your brush a lot, and you're not going to want to come up here and do this every time you want to increase and decrease the size of your brush. So another keyboard shortcut that's helpful is the brackets on your keyboard will increase and decrease your brush size. So you can see my brush size getting bigger and smaller here. Okay, so let's start. I am on my layer mask, right? I am on my brush. I have a fuzzy brush, which I like to use, and the black is set as my foreground color. Here's how I was taught. A layer mask is like Zorro's mask, and Zorro's mask is black, and anytime you have the black selected, like the black of Zorro's mask, it hides your picture. So you want to put it on the black, and when you go over here and you start erasing away your picture, there you go, when you're on the black. Now, say if I messed up, say I accidentally went over my little guy, which I don't want to do, I can flip it back to white and bring them back. And I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, which is the X on my keyboard, which switches it back to black. And I'm going to erase everything in this picture around my first figure. I think this is a really great way to start, okay? Because you will get the rest of the scene in the rest of your pictures. But for now, let's erase everything, right, that is not this first little guy. Now, depending on if you have something overlapping this figure, you may need to get in there. You may need to zoom real far in, okay, and get real close to them, okay, with your selection. Ooh, way too big. I'm actually going to press the X again, switch it back to white, and bring his hand back because I accidentally deleted it. And the space bar gives me this little hand so I can move my picture around without messing with the scroll bars, which I really like. Okay, so there we go. We'll put him back to normal size. Now, if I turn on this picture behind him, there we go. Now we have two, right? Two little guys, which is great. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn off that first layer, turn on the second layer, click on my layer mask, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press my X so the black is my foreground color, and I'm going to erase everything else in here. You can keep it a nice big brush when you're erasing all this huge area, and then when you get closer to your guy, you can bring it down, well, closer to yourself, I guess, when you're doing your picture. Bring it down and go real nice around them. You can zoom in further All right. Now be careful because you will start to see, because I'm using a fuzzy brush, it's actually starting to make him transparent, and I want to make sure I definitely don't do that. You don't want to see your checkers through your figure or yourself on your picture. Okay. So here we have our first and our second one. Okay. Turned on for you. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pause my screencast and I'm going to do a few more of these, and I'm going to come back when I get a little more tricky, when I start to overlap things, and I'll show you how I carefully go through when I overlap. Okay, so I've done a few more. I went around, let's turn these off so you can see what I did. Each individual one. Now, I'm not cutting them out right around the edge of my figure on purpose because I want them to blend together, and I find that when you cut them out right around the edge that it looks like you cut and pasted them together, and that looks awful. We want it to look believable, so I'm keeping as much space as I can around them until I need to get closer. So far so good. None of these guys overlap. Everything works well together. But let's see what happens when we turn on this next layer, which is actually my figure in the foreground. So here he is. Okay, this figure, if I turn off all of these layers, should look like this, but I have some of their layer masks that I have created for the other pictures are covering up. You can see what it's doing to that image, right? Let's see what this one's doing to that image, okay? And so on and so forth. So now I need to do a bit of work. Actually, every single one of these layers is doing something to this poor guy in the front. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on this first one, okay? And I'm going to leave it on because I need to see what I am doing. So I am actually going to go into this layer mask. And sometimes this is where it can get a little confusing when you're doing stuff like this. So I need to bring back this guy. So I believe what I need to do, yes, is take the black so that I'm actually erasing part of this layer. Okay, now I'm going to go really small here, and I'm going to, bring his arm back in real carefully. Okay, a little bit at a time. There we go. Now, you will also notice that my focus changed as well. Look at how blurry my keys are here, but when I turn this one on, they're clear. So I'm also going to have to work with that in my picture because this looks weird, right? This strap is in focus and this one is blurry. So we're definitely going to have to work with those little teeny tiny details as well. You also want to make sure that he's not transparent. There's some places here where I can actually like see through him, and that's not cool. We don't want that to happen. There it goes. So I may have to do some work in here, bringing back some things, because my focus changed when I had to focus on this guy in the foreground. So I need to make it work and blend it together so it's believable. All right, so now he works. Oh, he works with that layer. And then what I would do, I'm going to run out of time here, but what I would actually do is I would go through each individual layer and do that exactly how it is. Now, you will find that sometimes you need to get really, really, really close, especially if your figures are almost touching or touching, and erase really, really close. The The thing that's going to make this more believable is you paying attention to details. So good